As always in Hypixel Skyblock, prices of items fluctuate from day to day, or even hour to hour. Now there's always a reason for the changes in price. In short, it's just supply and demand changing for certain items. But then again, there's always a reason behind that. Whether it's the current meta, new game updates, or changes to already existing weapons, no matter the item, you can always account for a change in price one way or another. Today we're going to take a look at the state of the economy and just some absolute craziness on the bazaar. For instance, Recombobulators. Okay, if you insta-buy a Recombobulator, it's going to be the best part of 9.6 million coins. Honestly, Recombobulators have been on the rise for a while, but prior to the increase they were always stable at around about 4 to 5 million coins. Now of course the way you obtain a Recombobulator is basically through dungeons. Obviously once you've completed the dungeon, if you're lucky enough you'll get a Recombobulator in the chest. Now this Recombobulator has pretty much always been profit for the longest time. But it's never been something to be too happy about, but now you're making around 4 to 5 million coins profit, obviously depending on the bazaar price, which is kind of crazy. But why are they so expensive? Well, prior to Cole we had Aatrox, and prior to Aatrox we had Paul. Of course we had quite a decent perked Paul as well, which means that there were a lot more people doing dungeons. But even around about the time when Paul was mayor, the prices were still ridiculously high. Now in the past the pricing of the Recombobulator was pretty simple. When Paul is in office, the prices drop through the floor because more people do dungeons and more recoms are in circulation. And then, basically, the longer we go without getting Paul, the prices just increase because obviously there's less recoms to go around. Less supply, the same amount of demand, it makes sense. But, yeah, there was quite a shallow increase. Paul was around about this time here, and even though it was a little bit stagnant, it has gone up so much. And realistically, that can only mean one thing. Even though we had Paul as the mayor, and obviously he makes dungeons way better, and gives us more XP, makes the chests even cheaper, and so on, people just mustn't have done dungeons during Paul, or nowhere near as many people as maybe previously would have done so. Which basically means that, well, you know, it's stagnated for a little bit the price, but yeah, there's now just hardly any recoms going around. Either that or someone is continuously pouring tons and tons of coins into recoms and is going to sell at some point and crash everything. That is possible. And just to mention recoms, booster cookies, almost 6 million coins for an insta-buy. Okay. Once again, a booster cookie is an item that for a long time stagnated at around about 2.8 to 3.5 mil. Never really went that much more expensive than that. Of course, fast forward to today and, you know, way surpassed by 2 million coins. But why? Of course, booster cookies don't work like any other item in Skyblock. The only way you can obtain a booster cookie to sell on the bazaar is basically by real life money. Of course, one cookie is 325 gems. The 325 gems cost real life money, and that's the only way you can get the gems, and that's the only way you can get booster cookies. With booster cookies basically being ridiculously essential to pretty much every player, there's very few players that don't constantly have a booster cookie on unless you can't afford to do so. There's always going to be a ridiculous demand for booster cookies, and, well, I guess less people are buying gems. I mean, there's no other way to put it. If players want to buy coins, they've got two methods. One of them is the legitimate method, obviously buying through the Hypixel store, potentially using code Nitros if I ever get a creator code, and you know how it goes. Of course, the other method, the illegal method, would be basically buying coins through a Discord server that is also probably going to try to rat you. But obviously a lot of players successfully do that. Once again, unless people are stockpiling booster cookies, I mean, yeah, the only conclusion I can really come to is that maybe people just aren't buying as many gems anymore. Whether that's due to maybe less people playing the game, or more people IRL trading and buying coins illegitimately. Unfortunately, the numbers on people who are illegally buying coins is, yeah, not exactly the easiest to come by. Just a quick reminder, for those people who do watch the video and aren't subscribed, I'd ask the question why. Become part of the 24%, it helps out a lot. Also, you should join the Discord server, it's linked in the description of every single video. Anyway, moving on. Around about 4 or 5 days ago, I made a video about how the librarian can make you a lot of coins by basically obtaining dedication 4 books and then basically transferring them from your other profile, i.e. your bingo profile, onto your main profile. Now, prior to recording the video, the prices were around about 105 million coins if you put an offer up to sell your dedication 4 books. And the price shot down a ridiculous amount, okay, but now they're back up to 105 mil. Of course, bingo is finished now, and it sort of makes sense because people can't really do the method properly. And yeah, if you take a look at the graph here, it was around about 100 to 105 mil. And then it went down to, supposedly, according to Bizarre Tracker, 72 mil, but I did see it lower at actually 65 mil, which is pretty crazy. Anyway, it's yeah, it's gone back up even higher than it was initially now, which is kind of crazy. But at least that, well, change in price has quite a simple explanation. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I made a video on how you should invest in items that are going to make you profit during derpy. So basically commodities that people are still going to need regardless of the AH being down. So if we just head over to the auction house, and God Potions are now 1 million coins each. Granted, that isn't just because of my video, like this is going to naturally happen anyway. Obviously, we're now closing in on derpy, and I assume these prices are only going to rise more. Obviously, within derpy, you can sell these for much higher when the auction house isn't even up. But it's not just God Potions. It's anything that people use on a day-to-day basis that they're just not going to be able to get anymore. However, not only do we see the prices of scrolls continuing to rise, Necron's handles are now up to 635 mil. So yeah, they've also drastically increased in price, probably by over 100 million coins in the past couple of months. Now, of course, this is expected. Over time, prices are going to increase. There's obviously quite a high level of inflation in Skyblock. And of course, for an item like a Hyperion, you're going to have to pay the premium price. But that premium price is just constantly rising. It's kind of crazy. Like, just for the 3 scrolls alone, you're going to have to pay over 1.1 billion. And for the handle alone, you're going to have to pay close to 635, 640 million. So before you've even enchanted your Hyperion, I mean, without even the cost of the Wither Catalyst, just purely the handle and the 3 scrolls, you're looking at over 1.75 billion. A base Hyperion is now up to 690 mil. Now, of course, as with everything, it's substantially more expensive to craft your own, but even so, kind of crazy. I mean, realistically, at this point, if I was to give any advice, I'd probably just say, I mean, if you can do dungeons and consistently, probably do dungeons, considering if you hit a recom, it's over 5 mil profit. And I'd probably say continue to invest in commodity items like God Potions, things like cat flowers, dwarf turtle shell mates, things that are essential that pretty much everybody needs, but when derpy comes, you know, you're not going to be able to buy them. And that way you give yourself the best chance of profiting from the craziness of all the prices. Anyway, that's going to be just about the end of today's video. I hope you all have enjoyed. If you have, make sure you do leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one.